In a quiet shift that's beginning to ripple through kitchens, wellness circles, and even medical discussions, a centuries-old seasoning is reclaiming its place at the heart of human health. Not through marketing hype or fleeting trends, but through a growing understanding of what our bodies truly need to function at their best. This is the story of salt, not the sterile white crystals found in most dining tables, but a moist, grayish, mineral-laden sea salt harvested from ancient tidal pools along the Atlantic coast. Its name may be unfamiliar to some, but its impact on hydration, energy metabolism, and overall vitality is proving to be anything but ordinary. For decades, salt has been cast as the villain in the narrative of modern health. Public health campaigns have warned of its dangers, linking it to rising blood pressure, cardiovascular strain, and fluid retention. Diets have been built around its avoidance, and entire food industries have re-engineered their products to remove it. Yet, beneath this simplified story lies a deeper truth, one that is now coming to light. Salt is not inherently harmful. In fact, it is essential. The real issue may not be salt itself, but the kind of salt we've come to rely on, and the way we consume it. The standard table salt found in most homes is a highly refined product, stripped of nearly all its natural minerals and chemically processed to achieve a uniform, free-flowing texture. What remains is almost pure sodium chloride, often laced with additives to prevent clumping. While it delivers sodium, the element critical for nerve function, fluid balance, and muscle contraction, it does so in isolation, without the supporting cast of minerals that nature originally provided. This imbalance, scientists and holistic practitioners are beginning to realize, may be at the root of many of the very problems salt is blamed for. Enter a different kind of salt, moist, coarse, and richly colored by the minerals it retains from the seawater and clay-lined salt beds where it is harvested. This salt contains not just sodium, but a full spectrum of trace elements, including calcium, potassium, iron, zinc, and, most notably, 3 forms of magnesium: magnesium chloride, magnesium bromide, and magnesium sulfate. These compounds are not just passive ingredients, they are active participants in the body's most fundamental processes. And one of their most remarkable properties is their ability to attract and hold water, a quality known as hygroscopy. This may sound like a simple chemical curiosity, but its implications for human physiology are profound. When this mineral-rich salt is consumed with water, the hygroscopic magnesium compounds help pull water into the cells, where it is needed most. This is not just about quenching thirst, it's about true hydration at the cellular level. Anyone who has ever chugged a large glass of water only to find themselves running to the bathroom minutes later knows that drinking water doesn't always mean you're hydrated. Water must be absorbed, retained, and delivered into the intracellular environment to be useful. Without the right balance of electrolytes, especially magnesium and sodium, water passes through the system without being fully utilized. This insight is changing the way people think about hydration. Instead of gulping down liters of plain water in an effort to detox or flush out the body, a more effective approach may be to sip water slowly throughout the day, each time preceded by a tiny amount of mineral-rich salt. The salt primes the body's hydration pathways, signaling the cells to open their channels and accept the incoming fluid. It's a subtle rhythm, mimicking the natural way water enters the earth, not through violent storms that wash over the surface, but through gentle, sustained rainfall that soaks deeply into the soil. In this way, the body maintains a steady internal balance, the kidneys are not overwhelmed, and cellular functions operate with greater efficiency. But the role of salt goes far beyond hydration. One of the most overlooked yet vital functions of sodium in the human body is its partnership with glucose in the digestive tract. When we eat carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose, the primary fuel for our cells. But glucose cannot simply diffuse into the bloodstream on its own. It requires a molecular shuttle system in the lining of the small intestine, known as the sodium-glucose cotransporter, SGLT1. This mechanism uses the energy of a sodium gradient to actively pull glucose from the gut into the blood. Without sufficient sodium, this process slows down or fails, leading to incomplete absorption, energy crashes, and inefficient fuel utilization. This biological reality stands in stark contrast to the common advice to minimize salt intake at all costs. While excessive consumption of refined salt can indeed contribute to health issues, especially in sensitive individuals, the complete avoidance of salt may be depriving the body of a critical tool for energy production. The problem isn't sodium, it's the lack of balance. In traditional diets around the world, salt was never consumed in isolation. It came with food, with water, and with a variety of minerals that work together to support metabolic harmony. Today's ultra-processed diets, low in minerals and high in refined sugars, disrupt this balance, making the body's job much harder. This is where the difference between salts becomes even more apparent. Refined table salt, devoid of supporting minerals, floods the body with sodium and chloride ions, which can disrupt the delicate ratios between electrolytes. Over time, this imbalance may contribute to muscle cramps, fatigue, irregular heart rhythms, and even cognitive fog. In contrast, mineral-rich sea salts like the one harvested from Celtic tidal flats provide sodium in the context of other essential elements. Potassium helps regulate fluid balance and supports heart function. Calcium is crucial for bone health and nerve signaling. And magnesium, often called the forgotten electrolyte, plays a role in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those involved in energy production, DNA synthesis, and stress regulation. The sensory experience of using this kind of salt also tells a story. Unlike the sharp, one-dimensional punch of table salt, which can overwhelm the palate and dull taste sensitivity over time, the mineral-rich variety offers a complex, layered flavor. It enhances the natural taste of food rather than masking it. This is not just a matter of culinary preference, it reflects a deeper harmony between the food we eat and the way our bodies process it. When taste buds are not constantly bombarded by intense, isolated sodium, they remain sensitive and capable of detecting subtle flavors. This, in turn, reduces the need to over-season, creating a positive feedback loop of mindful eating. An example of this can be seen in a simple dish: red lentils simmered with herbs, turmeric, olive oil, and a pinch of this gray sea salt. On the surface, it's a humble meal, affordable, easy to prepare, and nourishing. But within it lies a symphony of health-supporting elements. The lentils provide plant-based protein and fiber, stabilizing blood sugar and feeding beneficial gut bacteria. Turmeric contributes curcumin, a potent anti-inflammatory compound. Olive oil delivers heart-healthy monounsaturated fats and helps absorb fat-soluble nutrients. And the salt? It does more than season. It supports the digestion of the meal, aids in the absorption of nutrients, and helps the body retain the water needed to process the fiber. It is not an afterthought, it is an integral part of the meal's function. This holistic view of salt is part of a broader reevaluation of how we think about food and health. For too long, nutrients have been isolated, studied in laboratories, and then either praised or condemned based on narrow outcomes. Fat was the enemy. Then sugar. Then salt. But the human body does not operate on single nutrients. It thrives on synergy, the interaction of countless compounds working together in a dynamic, ever-adjusting system. Removing one element without considering the whole can lead to unintended consequences. Depriving the body of salt may seem like a safe choice, but if it results in poor glucose absorption, chronic dehydration, or mineral deficiencies, the cost may be higher than we realized. Even in clinical settings, this understanding is slowly gaining ground. Intravenous fluids used in hospitals often contain a balanced mix of electrolytes, not just sodium chloride, because medical professionals know that the body needs more than just salt to maintain fluid balance. Yet, in everyday life, most people are encouraged to drink plain water and avoid salt, a contradiction that is beginning to be questioned. Athletes have long known the value of electrolyte replacement during prolonged exertion. Now, that wisdom is extending to the general population, especially those who are active, stressed, or living in hot climates where mineral loss through sweat is significant. Another layer of this story involves the health of the taste buds themselves. The constant exposure to high concentrations of refined salt can damage the delicate sensory cells on the tongue, leading to a diminished ability to detect flavor. This, in turn, drives people to use more salt to achieve the same taste sensation, creating a cycle of increasing sodium intake and decreasing sensitivity. It's a form of sensory desensitization, not unlike what happens when ears are exposed to loud noise for too long. By switching to a less processed, mineral-rich salt, this cycle can be broken. The flavor is more complete, the palate is preserved, and the body receives the nutrients it needs without excess. Of course, this does not mean that everyone should begin consuming large amounts of salt. Moderation and individualization remain key. People with certain health conditions, particularly those involving blood pressure or kidney function, must be cautious. But caution should not turn into fear. The goal is not to eliminate salt, but to consume it in a form that supports, rather than disrupts, the body's natural balance. For many, this means moving away from processed foods, where salt is hidden in bread, sauces, and snacks, and toward whole, minimally processed ingredients seasoned with care. The return to traditional salts is also a return to traditional ways of living. For centuries, coastal communities harvested sea salt using the power of sun and wind, preserving its natural moisture and mineral content. These methods were not driven by health trends, but by necessity and observation. People noticed that this salt tasted better, kept food fresher, and seemed to support vitality. Modern science is now catching up, validating what ancestral wisdom already knew, that the quality of what we consume matters as much as the quantity. As awareness grows, more people are experimenting with how they hydrate and season their food. They are sipping water with a pinch of gray salt in the morning. They are cooking with unrefined minerals instead of reaching for the iodized shaker. They are noticing differences: less bloating, more stable energy, fewer cravings, and a greater enjoyment of food. These changes may seem small, but they add up to a significant shift in how the body functions on a daily basis. In the end, this is not just about salt. It is about rethinking our relationship with food, with our bodies, and with the natural world. It is about recognizing that health is not achieved through deprivation, but through nourishment. Not through fear of nutrients, but through respect for their complexity. The salt on the table can be a symbol of that shift, a reminder that even the simplest things, when chosen with care, can have a profound impact on how we feel, how we function, and how we live. So the next time you reach for the salt, pause for a moment. Consider not just how much you're using, but what kind it is. Ask whether it is feeding your body or merely flavoring your food. Because in that small decision lies the potential for deeper hydration, better digestion, more balanced energy, and a renewed connection to the wisdom of nature. And sometimes, the most powerful changes begin with something as simple as a single crystal. If you found this deep dive into the true nature of salt surprising, you're not alone. What we've been told about salt for decades is only part of the story, often missing the bigger picture of balance, quality, and how our bodies actually work. The salt you choose isn't just about flavor, it's about function, hydration, energy, and long-term vitality. If you're curious about how small, mindful changes, like switching your salt or adjusting the way you drink water, can transform your health from the inside out, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe for more eye-opening insights that challenge the mainstream narrative. Don't forget to share this with someone who's still afraid of salt or stuck in the cycle of drinking gallons of water and wondering why they're still dehydrated. Real health isn't about extremes, it's about returning to what's natural, balanced, and deeply supportive of the human body. Thanks for watching.